Now we're going to go to another press conference. Attorney General Dana Nessel is announcing arrests made for retail crimes by flash mobs at Lululemon and Ulta stores, as well as high-end home invasions in Oakland, Wayne, and Kent counties. Let's listen in.
Well, thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here. Today I am joined by First Lieutenant Steve Tumelko of the Michigan State Police Fraud Investigation Section, Oakland County Undersheriff Curtis Childs, Detective Bradley Reckling, also from Oakland County, Grosse Pointe Police Chief John Elkhorn, and Officer Mike Narduzzi, Canton Police Chief Chad Baugh, Novi Police Chief Eric Zinser, and a number of members of my department. We have Assistant Attorney General Eric Sturbis, Assistant Attorney General Mike Freese, my Chief Deputy, is she here? Oh, yeah, Fadwa Hamoud. And we also have Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter, State Senator Kevin Hertel, and State Representative Kelly Green. So I've asked everyone here to announce that arrests have been made by my department in a strike against two distinct and flagrant crime ring operations within our state. And these criminal organizations have made waves throughout our state and have even, unfortunately, caused national headlines. In one matter, an international crime ring targeted lavish homes of affluent Michigan residents. And in another case, flagrant retail thefts in broad daylight, plowing over honest customers, speeding away in getaway cars, and leading police on dangerous roadway chases. Each of these investigations remain active and ongoing, and we know in both of these cases there are more people out there who we must bring to justice, and our efforts are not closing with these announcements. In each investigation, we've made 3 arrests at this point, all individuals who are in custody, and in this way we've put a foot down to help stamp out these orchestrated crime rings, both primarily targeting the Metro Detroit area. So first on some burglaries and home invasions. Many in our state are well aware of the reports of transnational crime rings targeting the homes of exceedingly wealthy Michiganders. And today I'm announcing the arrest of 3 Chilean nationals responsible for conducting sophisticated, coordinated home invasions in Ada Township, Bloomfield Township, Bloomfield Hills, Grosse Pointe Farms, Rochester, and Rochester Hills this year. Now, these burglaries typically occur when the homes are empty. The perpetrators employ technology to thwart alarm systems and take extensive precautions to avoid being identified on home security camera systems and to avoid leaving forensic evidence at the crime scenes. Losses from recent break-ins fitting this pattern in Michigan measure in the millions and millions of dollars as money, jewelry, and other high-value items and safes that are commonly stolen as well. It is believed by several law enforcement agencies that these home invasions were conducted by non-citizen temporary residents from countries in South America who traveled to the United States and Michigan specifically in order to conduct these burglaries. In an effort to combat the ongoing threat that these crime groups present to our state, Sheriff Bouchard from Oakland County has established a multi-jurisdictional task force made up of over a dozen area police departments throughout southeastern Michigan. And we'd like to specifically thank Sheriff Bouchard in this endeavor, and we look forward to our continued collaboration in bringing future groups responsible for these types of crimes to justice. Now, we've charged 3 Chilean nationals in conjunction with 8 break-ins occurring in February of this past year. The 3 arrived in the state on February 1st, 2023, arriving on a flight that came in from Los Angeles. Those individuals are as follows: Jeremy Martinez, who was charged with 9 crimes, 1 count of conducting a criminal enterprise, a 20-year felony, and 8 counts of second-degree home invasions. Each of those are 15-year felonies. Ignacio Ruiz Saldias, who is charged with 1 count of conducting a criminal enterprise and 8 counts of second-degree home invasion. and Tamara Ruiz Saldiaz, who is charged with 1 count of conducting a criminal enterprise and 8 counts of second-degree home invasion. Tamara and Ignacio are currently on the transnational organized crime watch list, and we are working with the Department of Homeland Security to ensure the other defendants in this case are added to the list to better serve the national effort to stop these home invasions. The department learned of these 3 arrests after arrests were made involving similar conduct in Carmel, Indiana. They are currently in law enforcement custody in the state of Indiana, where they similarly face separate home invasion-related charges. The Federal Bureau of Investigation and Department of Homeland Security have identified each as being members of the formally designated South American theft group. Burglaries connected to this alleged crime ring continue throughout Southeast Michigan, and the Department of Attorney General's investigation in partnership with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office remains ongoing. We are proud to have made these arrests in connection to these home invasions, but these 3 are not responsible for every break-in that fits this very clear pattern. There are more out there, and we will continue our efforts to find them and to bring them to justice. Now, our second case in reference to organized retail crime thefts. So in another effort by my department to squash a separate, equally flagrant crime ring, the FORCE team, along with members of the Michigan State Police Fraud Section, have worked with law enforcement from around Metro Detroit to execute search warrants last week and ultimately arrested 3 suspects in an organized retail crime ring. The arrests were made in connection with a rash of push-out thefts perpetrated on Lululemon and Ulta beauty retail locations throughout Metro Detroit. The state alleges the 3 to be responsible for at least 30 theft incidences spanning a time from December 2022 to just last month, with the latest charged theft event occurring November 26 of 2023. Small, organized groups have been observed to enter a storefront, grab as much high-value merchandise as they could carry or load into a shopping basket, and simply walk or run out the front door into an awaiting getaway vehicle. Now, from there, it's alleged the merchandise would be sold directly to end customers or sold in bulk to a fencing operation. The total losses to retailers connected to these thefts exceeds $200,000. One theft event alone netted over $19,000 in merchandise. In relation to this, we have arrested the following. Larice Cross of Detroit, who's charged with 6 crimes, 1 count of conducting a criminal enterprise, 20-year felony, 4 counts of first-degree retail fraud, 5-year felonies, and 1 count of second-degree retail fraud, a 1-year misdemeanor. Cartier Davis, also of Detroit, who's charged with 8 crimes, 1 count of conducting a criminal enterprise, and 7 counts of organized retail crime, 5-year felonies. And Samira Smith of Detroit, who is charged with 8 crimes, 1 count of conducting a criminal enterprise, 7 counts of first-degree retail fraud. Now, this remains an active investigation. There's more people involved, and we are determined to bring appropriate charges as further suspects become identified. It was Detective Mike Narduzzi of the Grosse Pointe City Public Safety Department who initially identified the string of push-out thefts at Metro Detroit Lululemon stores this past summer, and alleged robberies connected to this group targeted Lululemons located in Ann Arbor, Birmingham, Clinton Township in the Partridge Creek Mall, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Grosse Pointe, Novi in the 12 Oaks Mall, and Rochester Hills. Ulta beauty locations targeted in these alleged theft ring are located in Canton, Northville, Shelby Township, and Warren. This investigation by the Attorney General's FORCE team was added by efforts from Michigan State Police detectives from both the East and West Fraud team, as well as officers from the Grosse Pointe Police, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, and the local police departments of Birmingham, Canton, and Novi. Some of the officers vital to this investigation are here with us today, and you may be hearing from some of them. And we are very, very grateful for their help and their assistance and their hard work and dedication into solving these crimes. Organized retail crime is a pervasive problem in Michigan and across the United States, costing Michigan businesses over $1 billion every year. Through our state and local law enforcement partnerships, my force team is able to vigorously prosecute not just the thieves, but also the people who organize these rings. These theft events were more than just wounds inflicted to the ledgers of Lululemon and Ulta. They put the public at risk on many occasions. They barreled over customers as they frantically jostled back out of exits. They were confrontational when they were approached by retail workers. They led police in active pursuits across public roadways, and they ultimately contributed materially to the dark ecosystem of criminality supported and fostered by the black market proliferation of organized retail crime merchandise. This is best conveyed by our charging decisions in this case. We are pursuing conducting a criminal enterprise, a 20-year felony for organized racketeering crimes, and it's the most appropriate charge for these offenses. It is a serious one with a significant penalty. This type of charge, our statewide case view and eventual prosecution, is just one of the benefits to the people of the state of Michigan from handling these investigations and prosecutions by our force team, still in its very first year of existence and continually delivering results for the state. Our statewide force team is able to charge for the whole of known offenses and can ensure the charges and prosecution most fully reflect the full context of the alleged actions. I want to say this clearly for our retail partners to hear. We will be seeking orders for full restitutions for these victimized businesses. Now, I established the force team and the organized retail crime unit in January of just this year to target criminal organizations that steal products from retailers to repackage and sell for a profit. This team is made possible by our partnerships with local and state law enforcement agencies, as well as dedicated funding from the Michigan State Legislature. And soon I'll be inviting First Lieutenant Steve Jamelko and our State Senator Kevin Hertel and State Representative Kelly Breen to the podium to talk to you a little bit more about that. But first I'd like to talk just a little bit more about this unit and the work of the force team. We have 2 Assistant Attorneys General that serve the unit full-time, working with special agents within the Department of Attorney General and Michigan State Police detectives to investigate and prosecute these crimes. And in September, the department announced a partnership with the FBI's Detroit Fraud and Financial Crimes Task Force, which has been assigned a special agent to the force team to assist state efforts to combat organized retail crime. And this is a first-in-the-nation unit, unique in the 50 states, as being the very first of such unit, which was embedded with dedicated staff from the Department of Attorney General. And I want to thank especially my Chief Deputy, Fadwa Mood, whose vision this was to put this together. It took us a couple years to do it, but you know, the results have been pretty obvious, and I think this is our 8th case that we've charged with, just this year so far. Eric, is that correct? And we have many more that are forthcoming. The first success we had was a legislative change to continuing criminal enterprise statute, which allowed us to treat these organized rings as just that, elevating the applicable charges from just a petty theft to now a 20-year felony. We know that these organized rings are very lucrative. Organized retail crime is responsible for over, again, $1 billion in losses to chain stores and to small businesses across the state. They are multi-jurisdictional, and they are racketeering cases. So thanks to this change, the unit can really go after the organizers of these criminal theft rings with significant jail time and use criminal asset forfeiture proceeds then to help fund the unit moving forward. Since then, since we began this, the force team has worked collaboratively with retailers and local law enforcement agencies to combat organized retail crime. And recent court corporate partners on investigations have included Sam's Club, Walmart, Meijer, Target, Home Depot, TJ Maxx, Rite Aid, Lowe's, and as you've heard now, Lululemon and Ulta's. The team's first major investigation produced charges against 7 individuals earlier this year. And again, you know, we've had several since that time, and I anticipate we're going to have many more to come just in the next few months. So with that, I'd like to bring First Assistant Lieutenant Steve Tomelko to the podium. Say a few words.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, sir. First, I'd like to thank Attorney General Nessel for her vision to create an ORC task force that hadn't been done before. Though only a year old, the FORCE team has already made a substantial impact on organized retail crimes in Michigan. Today's announcement is a perfect example of her vision and what can happen when law enforcement from across the state, prosecutors, and private sector partners work collectively to combat organized retail crimes. These investigations also highlight the FORCE team's ability to bring stakeholders at all levels to the same table and bridge jurisdictional barriers. What sets the FORCE team apart from other task forces are its embedded prosecutors, a statewide footprint, and close relationships with private sector partners. Our embedded AG prosecutors work alongside with the task force investigators. At every step of case development, they are able to provide investigative direction and gain intimate case knowledge. The result is a streamlined path to impactful prosecution. The FORCE team is housed within the MSP's fraud investigation section. The fraud section already had established teams across the entire state and had been already working organized retail crime investigations. By partnering them with the AG's office, it provided an immediate statewide reach for the task force. Lastly, we include investigators from affected companies and have built strong working relationships. This has reduced evidence gathering timeframes and proactively identified new trends occurring in the state of Michigan. Our FORCE team's success would not be possible without the help of our partners that are here today and many others that were not here. We anticipate continued success in the near future, and we look forward to what will happen. Thank you. Thank you.
And I'd like to bring up Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter.
Well, thank you, Attorney General. I'll be brief. First, I want to thank you for your efforts on your task force and your commitment to reducing crime in our state, and in particular, your collaborative approach to doing so. You know, as a county leader in Oakland County, and as you heard, we've been hard hit by many of these crimes. I feel like I have no higher responsibility than to promote the safety of our communities and work to reduce crime and improve public safety across our county and in collaboration with the region. You know, when I was mayor of Ferndale, I was actually the victim of a home invasion. They were very sophisticated. It happened in broad daylight, like many of these crimes did. They were very targeted on electronics. And at the end of the day, I could replace my TVs and my computers. But what you can't replace is the sense of violation, that someone, you know, invaded your sanctuary, your safe place. And so this is more than just about things, right? It is about peace of mind in our communities. And I applaud the work of all of these individuals to help stamp this out in Metro Detroit and across the state. And it's a job, however, that no leader can do by themselves. And so it requires collaboration and coordination across law enforcement agencies. And that's what you see here today. Our sheriff is represented here. He's been a leader in this field, and I want to thank him for his efforts. And thank you, Undersheriff, for being here. Attorney General, the state police, national partners as well, and of course our local partners. It takes that kind of a coordination. And I'm excited to see that there's a couple of legislators here as well, because it takes resources. And we have dedicated resources in Oakland County, but frankly, just so you're aware, many of you probably know this, but those revenues primarily flow to us through revenue sharing. And for many years, we've been getting the short end on revenue sharing, and those funds directly fund public safety and other vital services. So I want to thank the legislatures for once again being a partner with cities like Ferndale and counties like Oakland County so that we have the resources to do what we need. This year alone, we've done retention and attraction bonuses for our deputies. We've invested in our Columbus law enforcement system so that departments across Metro Detroit can talk with each other and share information. These are the kinds of ways that those funds make a real difference in our communities. And let's be clear, crime knows no borders. It is multi-jurisdictional. So I'm proud to partner with the Attorney General's office, who has proven that she takes these crimes seriously. And looks at them, as she said, not just as one-off individual misdemeanors, but really what's going on behind these crimes across our county and across this region. And of course, with our partners in law enforcement, I want to thank you for protecting our communities, fighting for our security, and most importantly, the peace of mind that our residents deserve. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we'll have Senator Kevin Hertel.
Thank you, Attorney General, and I want to extend my thank you to all the law enforcement officials standing behind me and their teams who went to work to make sure these individuals were apprehended. Some of this crime occurred directly in my district, and like the county executive before me, I was the victim of a home invasion when I was a child as well, and I understand how that violation can really is deeper than just losing those things. You know, the dedicated work of the Organized Retail Crime Unit underscores the need for our law enforcement officers to have strong partners in the state legislature who are ready and willing to ensure they have every tool at their disposal to combat crime across our communities. Their success is why the legislature works so hard and closely with the Attorney General's office to develop and provide the $3.5 million necessary for these highly specialized task forces to exist and tackle these critical issues across our communities. You know, the topic of public safety sometimes becomes somewhat political, but I think we can all agree that collective goals to prevent crime, deliver safety for our residents, and to promote justice are important to us all. And that's why, as chair of the State Police Appropriations Committee in the Senate, I've worked to make sure we're investing in our law enforcement, not only at the state level, but in our communities as well. We were able to provide $9 million to allow the Michigan State Police to increase their trooper recruits just in this next year for 50 new recruits. Those are officers that will work across the state and in all of our communities to make sure that we are safe. We provided $10 million towards leveraging the state's police training academy to serve as a criminal justice training hub for the entire state so that local departments can come there and train and work together so they can fight these crimes together. You know, every Michigander deserves to feel safe, whether it's at home, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's going to work, whether it's walking down the street, and everywhere in between all of those places. And together, these investments are the start to a new era here in Michigan, a time for us to reject any controversial or inflammatory talking points, but to opt for solutions oriented at an oriented approach to public safety. I want to thank the Attorney General. I want to thank her team. I want to thank all of the members of law enforcement who work hard every single day to make sure we are safe here in Michigan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. And that will have Representative Kelly Breen.
Thank you, Attorney General Nessel. I'll be very brief. There's not much I can say that hasn't already been said, but again, my name is Kelly Breen. I represent the 21st House District, which is Novi. And I was shopping at 12 Oaks just the other day with my little girl, 13 years old, which, if any of you have teenagers, you know that can be harrowing enough. And all I could think was, if something were to happen right now in this incredibly crowded retail area, the consequences could be absolutely astronomical. You could have mass panic in a major retail area during the holiday season. And there has been a rise in these activities. We all know this. And I'm glad that we were able to work with the Attorney General's office, with our partners in law enforcement, across the aisle and across the chamber to make sure that this unique unit that the Attorney General has established was able to get these funds. And I do pledge everything that I can do as a House Judiciary Chair, who also sits on criminal justice, to help continue this good work. Also, being formerly from Novi City Council, I know the importance of revenue sharing. I call it pipes, parks, and public safety, making sure that our communities are given the funds to address their own unique needs. And we were able in the last budget to secure an additional $10.4 million just to support local law enforcement, whatever unique capacity they need, whether they need to do additional training, whether they need to hire additional officers, or whether they need to upgrade equipment. That is the type of advancements that I think we need to see so that each community can address their own unique needs. Novi has a lot of retail short places, but other areas have small downtown, like I think of downtown Northville. Their security needs are going to be different. So again, I'd like to thank everybody up here, as well as the Novi Police Department and Sheriff Bouchard, for their continued work. And we still have a lot more to do. Thank you.
And just again to our legislative partners, you know, I mean, why it's so critical to have them here is knowing that just a year ago, we wouldn't have been able to issue any of these charges. We wouldn't have been able to put any of this stuff together because we wouldn't have had the resources to do it. And we also would not have had the law, because the law needed change so that we could have, you know, retail fraud as a predicate offense in order to charge this organized retail crime felony. So that's why it's so important to include our legislative partners, as well as, of course, all of our great partners in law enforcement. But with that, I'm happy to take any questions that I can answer or that anybody else here can answer.
Attorney General, you mentioned that the 3 individuals who were arrested in connection to the home burglaries were arrested in Indiana. Can
Correct.
you talk about the role SIMCAP, the task force that was created, can you talk about the role they played in helping in those arrests?
Sure. Eric, do you want to?
Well, from my understanding, SEMCAP is a task force that was just recently established. So I believe that task force will play a key role going forward in any investigation involving a like group that comes across our path. But as far as these individuals, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office put in a beyond immense amount of work into this investigation, and it's because of their efforts we're here today.
Just a second to that, can you speak to what burglaries they were connected to here in Michigan again?
The specific locations, I'll not, as the AG indicated, several different cities these homes resided in: Grosse Pointe, Ada Township, Bloomfield Hills, Bloomfield Township, and Rochester were the areas that this group is associated with. I do know that there may be other incidents that you may be referring to, but as the AG indicated, this group is by no means responsible for those.
Which were
May have got a full list I can get you after this too.